So for data processing, you want to make sure you get into the right location. So here we're going to be going to the F drive, finding the folder that our data is in, and then we will be pulling it up. So right now we're just clicking through each of those, clicking to the right participant, continue in until you find all your trials. First we're going to do our static calibration, so you'll go ahead and you will reconstruct by pressing the 3 gray little dots up in the top corner. There you see our model now. So you want to make sure all your markers are there. Next, we're going to go through the process of labeling the skeleton. So you will go to the left-hand side and you will click whatever pipeline you want. So for this one, it's going to be the Bailey running arms. That's going to pop up all of our markers that we need here. So you'll label it, this is P2, so that's what we're labeling it as. So go ahead, now you can see that all of our markers are highlighted, so we just go through and label on the skeleton right there. So we're starting with the hips. So as you can see, we're just clicking on each of the markers, giving it the correct name.
So this is left iliac crest, BSIS, right side top.
Now here we are seeing that it did not pull up our calibration markers. So on your greater trochanter, knees, and ankles, we have calibration markers. These help to let us get the correct segments, and right now we are not currently in that one. So on the left hand side, you want to go ahead and click to revert to uncalibrated, and that way it will then give the correct markering for this marker set. So as you can see, she just clicked that, and then she just has to start over.
For that, and you have to revert to
She's going back into the correct one.
And
so now, where all of your options are for labeling, now your knees and your greater trochanter and ankles will all be in there. So she's going to go ahead and just restart at the skeleton, doing the sacrum, and then the ASIS, PSIS, and your iliac crest. And then it shows your knees, and then this is what's going to help when we put it into the next system to give us the full skeleton with the correct segments. As you can see there, now it's showing up with the ankles. So you just go through and do the left and right limbs, and then we'll do the upper body. So right now she's starting with the knees up to the greater trochanter, down to your medial knee, and then you have your top right anterior, posterior, bottom anterior and posterior. She'll do the ankles, which then lead up to the shank. Which then connect in with the foot. And it's really important to make sure that you are getting the correct labels, going slow, so that when we run this through, our pipelines are correct and everything is labeled correctly. It just makes the further processing much easier.
So why the different colors?
Now we're up to the upper body where we're going to do the back. So this one we don't have the shoulders, the anterior and posterior shoulder. So what you do in that situation is you just skip over that marker and continue with the labeling, which is what we'll be seeing here.
Once your red flip, you're like, okay, well, I need to relabel that there.
So as you can see, we only have the acromions. So we'll just skip over, continue going, continue labeling your left and right arms. Again, making sure everything is in the correct order is important. For the calibration markers in the arms, you have calibration markers at your shoulders, elbow, and wrists. Again, just like the legs, these are what help us to get the correct segments and to have proper proportioning on the skeleton as we continue to process everything. So as you can see, they're just skipping over those shoulder ones and finishing up with the arms. So this is the static calibration where they simply just go out and stand and we collect a few seconds of data. This just helps to ensure that all of our cameras are seeing all the markers.
Oh, okay.
The last thing she labeled was the treadmill. So next you're going to go through and we will click
I like to go to communication.
into
Check the quality.
and check the quality for everything. Those unmarked markers are just those shoulder ones that we don't have, which is okay. So then we'll go back through and we'll hit your calibrate skeleton static. That's what she's clicking right here. And then once you hit your show advanced, you just want to make sure that all of those are unclicked except for delete calibration markers.
And that's because
Go ahead and run that
after the
through.
static calibration,
Press play.
so when you move into the dynamic stuff, those won't be there. So you just have to let the computer know that we're taking some off.
And so here it didn't like something, and what that is because of the 4 unused markers. It's not gonna like that. So if for some reason it doesn't run through, you can try just re-clicking your options under the hide advanced. Sometimes it just doesn't all the way process in the computer. So sometimes just simply unclicking and re-clicking that will let you run it through. She's just double checking to make sure that she is actually in the right pipeline. So a little bit of troubleshooting right here. So what we've decided is it's because of those shoulder markers. So what you have to do is you go over to the left-hand side, you drop down and find your markers, and then you just go ahead and get rid of those shoulder markers.
We'll just add that.
Yeah. And so now we're processed there.
And then you come back over and now we should be able to run it through.
Our static is now saved. So when we go back into communications, to data management, and you have that little piece so you know it's been processed. At least some of the
So
way
now
it's
it was all ran through. It's good. So you go ahead and put an asterisk by it, and that way we know it's been calibrated. So now we can move on to a dynamic calibration, which is actually the trials that we are collecting. So you just continue and double click. The same thing, you bring your pipeline in by clicking those gray dots in the top left-hand corner. So it's bringing it through. So now you can see we don't have our calibration markers anymore. We take those off for the actual data collections. So you just go through the same process of labeling again. You go through and you click the little sign that looks like a label, and it's going to pop up our marker options again, and she's just going to go through and start with the pelvis.
So then when you process through the D3D, you have all the segments and then we'll create a skeleton. So those, yeah, so all these markers it's going to read in D3D to help create the skeleton.
And a lot of times it's easier to zoom in with your skeleton on the computer when you're labeling, and that way you can see all of the markers better and you don't end up mislabeling everything. This labeling is pretty quick since we don't have all of the calibration markers, so you just do the pelvis, the thigh, the shank, the foot, each separately.
Is there a reason you're doing another one?
So as you can see, she's going through and doing each leg again, and it goes in the same order every time you do the pelvis, right leg, left leg, back, right arm, left arm.
So then through here, and then we catch them with all of their stuff running. Like I said.
And this is going to catch them without
It's important also to keep in mind what position your participant may or may not be in during these markering sessions, because for this one their arms are bent, so the arm order will be a little bit different than during the static calibration where their arms were just straight out. So you just have to remember
Okay.
where the markers would be based on their anatomical position. This again just ensures that everything is getting labeled correctly. So as you can see right here, she was taking a minute to think about what the order of the markers were.
You put the wrong points.
This is extremely important to do. It will make the rest of your calibration much easier,
Oh, right.
and you don't have to go back and
Right.
fix as many things as well.
Your leg is now your arm. Congrats.
It's gonna be X.
And you have to go in a specified order. Okay.
Perfect. And just label that treadmill one more time.
Ta-da.
Perfect.
So then for this one,
Just kind of, so when we do their markers, you like little clusters of triangles on their arms.
okay,
And
so
if you